The occupational skill +1 magical armor requirements to use Lamy or law sheet. This grants the character 1 point of magical armor on every location. If this armor becomes damaged, then any character with their own power can repair it using a single spell power to restore fully the protection value of the armor on a single location by holding the open palm of their casting hand towards the target, approximately 1 foot away from it, and speaking the vocals, "By my power, I replenish this armor." If the character gains a mage or paladin's armor, it will instead boost that high sigil effect by 1 point and will follow all the rules for that high sigil effect. You may never have more than 4 points of magical armor by any means. +1 magical armor will refresh at time in. Okay, so there's several aspects to this OS which we will cover. The first one is to note that when you repair your magical armor, you use a single spell power and it repairs that particular location that you're repairing. It's not every location, it's that single location with 1 point of spell power. So if you get hit in all 6 locations, then you will need 6 spell power to then repair it all. So it only really becomes relevant if you are using the magical armor to soak other spell effects or other effects within the game, or if you have it combined with mage armor or paladin's armor. And in mage armor, for example, you get an armor value of 2, and then with this particular OS of +1 magical armor, you would get an armor value of 3. And so when you come to repair that particular armor value, it's 1 spell power, and it will repair all of the armor in that location. So that makes it a much better use of your spell power and your resources to repair more hits in that location. Note that you do have a maximum limit of 4 points of magical armor when using from any means. So let's say you may have other spells, other magic items, other effects, other lammies or lore sheets in play, but you may only ever have 4 points of magical armor by any means. So take that into account if you've got some of these other items and weigh them up to these. Will they work with this particular OS in mind? The other thing to note is that this +1 magical armor will refresh at time in. So what time in here means is not, not a referee is called timeout and then time back in again. That's not what the spirit of the rules means. What it means is that at 10 a.m. Every day of the events going on, or at the start of the event, then your +1 magical armor will kick in. So yeah, a decent protection to have, especially for spellcasters. So it can be useful for spellcasters, and it's also it's also a useful OS to have if you want to have a way of soaking some particular specific effects within the game. One thing to note is that there isn't a huge advantage unless you're soaking particular effects. There isn't a particular advantage of having both normal armor and magical armor running at the same time, because whenever somebody deals damage to you, let's say a blow is struck with a weapon, it will usually do a single point of damage unless the effect states otherwise, and it will, if you have both magical armor and normal armor running at the same time, it will do a point of damage to both of them at the same time. So the magical armor doesn't stack on top of normal armor, okay? And so from that perspective, there's no real point of having the armor value from the two different sources running at the same time. So what are my thoughts on this? It could be useful. It could be useful in the right situations and with the right builds. And yeah, it's an okay OS in my opinion.